What are my goals, or what are my habits for this year for physically? What do I want to do for my health? Then spiritually, how am I going to improve my relationship with my Creator? Mentally, what am I going to do better at work or at studies or just to stimulate my mind? And the last one is socially, how am I going to be a better human being with the people around me? And write down for each of them, you know, a goal you want to achieve for the end of the year, inshallah.
Interesting. A book by Robin Sharma talks about the 5 a.m. club, and while reading that book, I could not help but think about the Prophet ﷺ when he said that Burikat ummati fi bukuriha, you know,
Yes.
my ummah has been blessed in its mornings. And Robin Sharma would come up with a list and tell you that, show me of one successful person who was not an early riser.
You know, and that's, Faisal, you know, it's really sad if you look at our Muslim countries. Alhamdulillah, in Kenya we don't have that problem.
Yeah.
But if you go to Muslim countries, you will find that a lot of our culture is people get up for Fajr maybe, and then they want to sleep.
Yes.
And
They
then
call it round 2.
Yeah, and then they want to start day at 11.
Yes.
You know, and then they'll go to late nights. And Robin Sharma, you know, when he talks about, he's got a book, as you said, the 5 a.m. club. And he says, rise before the sun, which is exactly what Islam tells us. Rise before the sun, Fajr, or even before Fajr, you know. And then he says in his book, he says, do 3 things. He says, spend 20 minutes praying or meditating. He's not Muslim. He's saying, take 20 minutes to pray or meditate, whatever your belief is. Then he says, take 20 minutes to read, which is, you know, Deen, read them Quran at Fajr is the best time.
Yes.
And then he says, take 20 minutes to do some sort of activity, physical activity. And he says that's how you should start your first hour of the morning. And if you look at Islam, if you look at what we are taught to do, as you rightfully said, we are taught that get up early in the morning before the sun rises, go and pray, do your adhkar, which is meditate, read the Quran, which is read, and then do some exercise, walk to the masjid or walk back, you know, whatever it is that you can do. But it's unbelievable, you know, that we have the same things in our seerah, but we need somebody else from outside to write a book.
Come and tell us.
Yeah, that's what it is, you know. But that works. I think if there's one habit for the audience in 2024 that we can all try and do, and it's a proven success from our Prophet ﷺ and also from business coaches, like you said, is let's try and wake up early in the morning, and the first hour, let's do, you know, that connection with our Creator. Go to Fajr in the masjid if you can. If you can't, then do it at home.
Interesting thing is that everybody talks about waking up early, but again, nobody tells us about then what are the steps to be taken. I used to be one of those people who are like, you know, I'm going to wake up early, inshallah, tomorrow morning. But again, I would find myself watching or reading or doing something up to late night, and then I expect to be up by early, you know. So basically there are steps to be taken. There are some of the tricks, and I've realized some of them, and alhamdulillah, I'm trying to work on them. And dude, I'm telling you, since I started, it's phenomenal, the changes. So one is that I don't eat to my fill dinner.
Yes.
Right, and secondly is that I try to wind down a little bit earlier, you know, compared to the previous years. I don't know, what else do you think works that helps a person to be an early riser?
It's interesting you mention that, because I'm having the same struggle, you know. And just one thing as a caveat, you know, just because you're a coach on something,
yes,
it doesn't mean necessarily that you are good at that. So I'll give you examples. You know, the best football coaches, they probably can't play as well as Ronaldo or Messi, but they know what needs to be done for you to excel. So I just want, in case somebody says, Khidher, I don't see him as an early riser, what's he talking about? I was reading...
I'm sure you're joking, bro, but every time I pray Fajr at Adam's, you're always there.
Alhamdulillah, I try. But I read about, and some of the things you mentioned, for those of us who want to get into early sleeping, it says exactly what he said. It said, try and eat 2 hours before your sleeping time. And then it says a couple of things which I didn't know about. He said, first of all, 1 hour to 1.5 hours before, switch off device screen time. Whether it's, you know, my kids say we have blue filter and no, switch off device screen time. And one of the best examples I read about, it was in a podcast I heard, he says, keep your phone, you know, because usually our devices, keep your device outside the bedroom. If you can't do that, then make a rule that you will, whenever you're on the device, you must be standing.
Interesting.
Because most of us, we have that last WhatsApp message or that last, and we're in bed. So the second habit is, so first is, you know, eat 2 hours or 1.5 hours before you want to sleep. Second thing is no screen time at least 1 hour before your intended sleeping time. Number 3, for people like me who like coffee, I didn't know this. I didn't know this till about 3 months ago. Coffee stays in your blood for 12 hours. 12 hours.
No.
The half-life, they
The
call
caffeine,
it.
yeah.
The caffeine. So if you want to sleep by 9, I think it's 12 hours or 6 hours, it says you should have your last cup of coffee around 2. Okay? So, because you'll still have a bit of caffeine in your blood. And when I did that, I found myself going to sleep early. So for me, those 3 things, but I'm still working on it as well. And I want to get better, inshallah.
Come on, I know you're just trying to be humble here.
No.
Yeah, I know you mean. Guys, you forgot I told you guys that he's a friend, he's a mentor, he's a brother. So I know him so well. Relax, he's an early riser, I promise you guys. MashaAllah. So, yeah, so that's one. We're speaking about being an early riser. What else do you think works to make someone position themselves in a place where they can be up for a promotion or up for better or greener pursuits in the future? What else do you think works?
I think, we talked about the not focusing on the goal, focusing on the process.
Yeah.
When I was very young in my career, I remember one of my bosses told me this. He told me, don't worry so much. So what happened was this, let me tell the story. I was working in Dubai at that time, and most of my colleagues, we were 4 colleagues in the department, we were handling sales for Africa. It was an IT company. And most of my colleagues got a job which paid them double the salary. And I wanted to move. I was very young, I needed the money, so my boss told me, look, you need to focus on building your skills and be patient. And when you jump for the right jump. Don't just jump, for short-term benefit. He said, these guys, they want to hire you because they want your database. They know you know the African market better than other people. After 6 months, they will not need you. I listened to him, and those people who left, he was right. Within a year, they were jobless. Okay, I grew in the company. But what is my message? My message is focus on the process, focus on the good habits, focus on being excellent, and success will come. I think when we try and look for success, when we try and look for the money, it never comes.
True.
And the best example, again from his book, I really like this book and I recommend you read it, Atomic Habits. He said, the biggest problem we have nowadays is, he gave the example of an ice cube. He said, if you take an ice cube and you put it on a table and then you increase the temperature of the room from 26 to 27, nothing happens. From 27 to 28, nothing happens. From 28 to 29, nothing happens. From 30 to 31, nothing happens. At 32 degrees, it starts melting. So his question is, do you think that 1 degree is what caused the ice to melt? No. It was that whole process from 26 to 31. But you start seeing results at 32. And he says, most of us, we give up at 30 because we don't see the results. And whether it is the gym, whether it is in business, whether it is in career. So if you focus on the process, when you see the results, and I can tell you, when you go to the gym, the first month, second month, you don't see any improvement.
I know.
And then suddenly people are telling you like, whoa, what happened?
It's that shading,
you know.
Yeah.
So it's that ice cube mentality, I love that example.
Interesting. Focus on the process.
Focus on the process. Make the habits.
Guys, if there's anything I'm going home with you today, is focus on the process. It's exactly, I think, 39 minutes past 8 o'clock, and we are due, actually, late for our first break. I'm going to ask you to please hold on there, because we're going to be back and get more of Khidher Adam's wisdom, inshallah, right here on Horizon TV. Keep it live, Real Talk.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Discover a world of learning where the best of American and British education comes together in the heart of Kenya. Welcome to Ilm Academy, where young minds flourish and dreams are realized.
ILM stands for Innovate, Lead, Mentor. In our school, we learn Arabic classes and we take also Madrasa classes.
At Ilm Academy, we pride ourselves on offering a unique blend of the American and British curriculum, providing your child with a well-rounded education that nurtures creativity, critical thinking, and global awareness.
Our school uses a unique and innovative learning system. There are a lot of favorites I have in the school, but the one thing that stands out the most is playing football with my friends and bonding during meals.
Our experienced and passionate educators are committed to cultivating an environment that sparks curiosity and encourages students to explore the world around them. With the small class sizes, each child receives personalized attention, ensuring they reach their full potential.
We want to excel in education and our religious studies as well. We believe that every child is a holistic being.
But education isn't just about the classroom. At Ilm Academy, we believe in fostering a love for learning through a diverse range of extracurricular activities, from sports to arts, creating well-rounded individuals ready to face the challenges of the future. Enroll your child today and give them the gift of a world-class education. Our admissions are now open. Ilm Academy, where every child's journey begins.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Thank you so much for keeping it live, Real Talk. Here tonight we are talking about planning for the year 2024. Dude, have you sat, have you watched, have you listened to what Khidher Adam had to say before the break? I'm telling you, if I were you on this second segment, I'd be with my book and my pen right now listening to the next pointer that is just about to throw. Khidher, thanks so much for making time for us, brother. I know you're just from a safari and you're here. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Hey, it's always a pleasure.
Likewise, you know, I love Horizon. I love the work you guys do, mashallah, so keep it up.
I mean, you're part of Horizon.
I feel like it, alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much. Now, Akhi, again, when we started during the opener, we spoke about how tough the economy is. You know, things are not good, basically, right? So the translation to business then is that people are trying to cut, people are trying to lose jobs, right? So there are employees who are scared of losing their jobs, right? And we've spoke about them in the first part of it, talking about how they can position themselves to do better for greener pastures or for a promotion. But what about then for the business owners, right? How would they plan best to maneuver the challenging economic times?
So I think it's a great question you ask, and even for the employees, you know, it's very easy to say just focus on becoming better, but I think we all need to plan, and we all need to improve our skill set. I think one thing that has changed dramatically in the last few years, you know, back in the days, if you had a degree in engineering or you had a degree in business, the change in the industry was so minimal that you could do away without learning and improving your skills. But now, you know, just look at social media as an example. If you look at social media 3 years ago, or not even 2 years ago, look at the platforms that are currently working versus what was there 2 years ago. Look at it 5 years ago. When I started Snack Attack, we were only on Facebook. And then in the last few months, you know, we're talking about Foursquare and Instagram and TikTok and, you know, the like. So the message is, I think you need to be constantly learning. And Steve Jobs said it. I think if you listen to his MIT speech, an amazing speech, he gave it in, I think, 1996. He was giving a speech to the graduates. If you can Google it, I think it's on YouTube. You know, he said something in the end. He said, stay hungry. There's one of the things he mentioned was stay hungry. What he meant by that is don't become complacent. Don't think I know it all. Don't get comfortable. Don't become Kodak. You know, don't get comfortable. So I think the first learning I would give myself and others is be aware of what's going on and be humble. Constantly learn yourself. In my industry, you know, I believe in mentorship, and that's something I always talk about. And I like to be a mentor for other people as well. I have a mentor. I won't say his name here because of, you know, I'm not sure if he wants me to mention, but he's got a very successful restaurant operation in Kenya and in other countries. and I meet him regularly, and he's guiding me on certain things, and I'm very humbled to know that this is where I'd like to be, okay? You know, so I look up to this person. Whenever I have a problem, you know, I come to him. So I would advise business owners and even employees, look for that mentor. And a mentor is not a coach. You know, a coach will push you.
Yeah,
a mentor is somebody you reach out to, you get a bit of ideas, and then you are responsible for that relationship. You know, the coach is more worried about your results. The mentor is not really worried about your results. He's just a good person, a good friend, somebody you can trust. So lesson number 1, get a mentor. Lesson number 2, improve your skills.
Kaizen.
Yes.
Keep on improving. It's a Japanese philosophy. So you always need to improve, always need to do better. Think of how do I do better, how do I get better.
Yes. And learn. You know, when I used to work at Procter & Gamble, it's a multinational for more than 100 years, and one of the first things my boss taught me is like, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Somebody has already done what you want, and they've done it better. So don't waste time. Get a head start. Go and search who has done this job before. And that's what I do in my restaurant business. I don't try and recreate something new. I just go and see the big brands that are successful in that field that I want. So for example, right now I'm trying to improve my delivery speed. So I'm trying to see what the big brands are doing. And I try and learn from them and reapply in my business. You know, that's another lesson I could give is look at what other people have done and reapply it.
Interesting. And for as far as cutting, I know of course different sectors, different industries, different things work, right? But again, I think or I believe that there must be generic things that maybe all the businesses can do. One of them is you spoke about continuous improvement,
yes.
right? So what's the other thing that you think can really work well? I read somewhere that the most important resource you have is a human resource.
Yeah, you know, I think that's spot on. You know, people are only as good as the teams or the people they hang around with. If you look at all successful businesses, they develop a strong structure around them. You know, they have people who can do the work. Otherwise, you have to do everything yourself, and then you can only do so much. You know, and that's one of the biggest challenges for smaller companies. You know, like our company. Even when we were growing, it's very hard for us to hire top talent that is very experienced. So you need to invest in developing younger people, you know, people who are creative, people who are excited. How do you develop them? How do you engage them so that they can bring back into the business? So that's a good point. Work with people.
I mean, it's something, it's one of the guiding mantras for this guy for Virgin Atlantic, Richard Branson.
Yes.
Richard Branson. I mean, I learned from him how he grew the whole brand of Virgin Atlantic and all that. I mean, it's a beautiful concept. So thanks so much for that. Now let's look at the education sector.
Yes.
I mean, I told you about during the break that just today, 6 in the evening, I had a meeting with a very talented, amazing young brother. Mashallah, may Allah bless him. He's into the web development business, right? He's a developer. He's been developing for a number of years right now. So when I met him 4 or 5 years ago, he was doing computer science. Today I asked him, bro, so did you finish your studies? No, I dropped a long time ago. I dropped it the second year. That's why. Said, all these companies that I'm looking to work for, I'm looking to work with, they're just looking for experience. They're constantly looking for experience. Nobody's interested about what I've studied. And for as long as I can do the job, Faisal, why should I waste my time? That needs a lot of energy, takes up a lot of my time, which then I would be investing into the business and gaining more experience and learning things within the business. And this is an interesting thing that he mentioned. He said, why should I listen to someone who's going to teach me about cybersecurity, yet I have no proof of where he has practiced it? Listen to a lecturer teaching you about business, yet you cannot see any successful enterprise that he's built. Right? So that's a very interesting thing that, I mean, got me thinking really hard. Right? So I'm sure he's not the only one. There are many people outside there as well who are maybe or possibly in this space. What do you think about that, Khidher?
You know, it's amazing that you mentioned. When I was in university many years ago, I did mechanical engineering. And one of the things when I'm mentoring or coaching people, I tell them is don't make the mistake I did. The mistake I did is I went for mechanical engineering because my peers were, you know, doing mechanical engineering. So the school I went to, there was a mantra there that if you were a smart kid, you did either medicine or engineering, okay? And if you were not so smart, you do social sciences, you know, stuff like humanities, geography, and economics and the likes. And I made that mistake because I went to engineering without understanding what engineering was. Because I liked maths and physics, I thought I'd enjoy it. But I didn't realize engineering was a lot about design and drawing. And I was really horrible at drawing. Okay, I struggled. Faisal, I struggled, and I did my degree in the UK. So it was a lot of money. And by the time I sort of decided this is the wrong course, it was too late. So I always tell the younger people right now, don't make quick decisions on your career. Take a break, think it through, and in that time that you're thinking it through, my advice is to those students is try and do what they call career shadowing. I'm trying to do this with my own kids, by the way, where like my daughter wanted to do, she thought she wanted to do architecture. I told her, why don't you go and spend 2 days with a friend of mine who's an architect. She went there and she was shocked. It was all about projects and Excel files, and she thought she'll go there and paint because she likes painting, right? She thought I'd be drawing and coloring, and she realized that's like such a small part of the. Within 2 days, she says, "Dad, I don't want to do this as a life career." So things have changed a lot right now, as you rightfully said, and as this brother was telling you. When you're looking at employment now, the degree or the master's is just the entry point. But I want you to hold on to that comment. It is an entry point.
Entry point.
It is important. It is still very important. But, as the brother rightfully said, if he wants to build his skills, then he might be better off going to schools like Moringa or working for smaller companies or even big companies for shorter periods, and he learns coding, he learns different things, which will build his skill set. However, I still feel that he or she, or students generally, you need to tick the box, because today when I'm interviewing people, most companies have a screening process. Because you've got 1,000 applicants, you only want to view 50. So the first process is usually qualifications. So my advice to the young generation is don't lose the qualifications, but they're right. Don't make your life only about the qualifications. Things have changed. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah,
100% answers the question. And so the other question is that have you met such people before, like the one who think like this brother?
Yes, my own kids are in that boat, and the advice I'm giving them is what I've just said. I said you need a degree, okay, but the degree is only a stepping stone or a passport or whatever you want to call it for you to be able to get that career that you want. So, for example, if you want to do business, like my son right now, he's just finished his diploma and he's not sure what he wants to do for his degree. So he's taken a year out, and in that 1 year, I want him to run my business, I want him to learn from other businesses and do a few different things so that he knows what he wants to do. But I still want him to do his degree. And my advice to this young generation is look for the qualifications that are a minimum for an entry point, because today you're happy where you are, but maybe in the future, for example, you want to move to another country, and maybe having a degree might be the reason why you can or you cannot move to that country. So don't think, we're talking about planning, don't think about now, think about 10 years from now. So I still feel
interesting point that you just brought. Think about 10 years from now, like futuristic, long-term, mid-long-term or long-term planning. And I was thinking to myself that is it so far-fetched for someone to think of 10 years? Because I've met a number of brothers, and for example, my wife's uncle was asking me the other day that their daughter wants to do broadcast journalism, and I asked him, where does she want to practice, in Kenya or elsewhere? Said in Kenya. And I told him, listen, Jomba, the paradigm is shifting, that unless you want to open your own station, by the time she's going to be done, plus the internship, that's 4 or 5 years, I don't know where the media space is going to be.
Yes.
If anything, study communication, that's a bit broad-based. And you'll think about 10 years or 20 years from now, and then you start thinking in reverse.
Yes.
So the question is that, is it so far-fetched? Is it unrealistic for someone to think 10 years, 20 years, 15 years from now?
But it goes back to what we said earlier on, the constant or continuous improvement, continuous learning. I think if you start from now with that mindset that I'm going to continuously learn, then you'll be okay. Because you know what a degree does? I mean, Faisal, you know it and I know it. How much of the degree do we spend in our working lives? I'm sure it's less than 2%.
Less than, I promise you.
Yeah?
True.
But what did that degree do for you? It taught you how to interact socially. That's why I tell young people that you know, if I had it my way, and some of the parents might not like this, but look for a degree that is easy for you to pass,
complete.
you know, so
Yes.
it's a hack,
Yes.
right? But do the degree.
Ah.
And then my advice is, as you rightfully said, keep on learning, because things are going to change, you know, and you need to look at the, like you said, but nobody knows. Nobody knows 10 years from now whether we'll be in a studio or whether we'll be, you know, doing AI. You'll call Khidher, a hologram from Khidher, and he's just, you know, coming up with better interviews. You never know. Right?
But again, of course, technology can never replace human interactions. You just come here to enhance. So, Khidher, just finally,
Yes.
I was listening to this amazing podcaster. I think he was listed as one of the best podcasts in Africa, Ideas That Matter. Voices and Bequires, a South African podcaster. And he was talking about business plan, talking to the business people. Say, if you have a business plan, just throw it away. Put it aside and focus on what you're saying, constant improvement, learn and improve. And he said that business planning was invented in 1930s, where the US experienced a crash. So the banks were the biggest losers at that time. Why? Because they realized that we'd given a lot of money to these companies, yet we hadn't vetted their business plans. So he said, as a young business, then what you should do is put aside that business plan and focus on what your client needs, focus on what your competitors who are bigger than you are not doing, right? So basically, in one statement, he has, one, trashed the planning aspect and really validated what you've just said about planning process, about constant learning and constant improvement. So how do you balance the two then?
Yeah.
You want to grow as a company, so that's the whole concept of business plan,
Right.
to like draw a map for you, but at the same time he's saying just focus on the daily activities.
Yeah.
So how do you balance the two?
Yeah, it's I like what he gave, the example, you know, the business plan. Sometimes, usually we make business plans when you're trying to pitch for money or an idea.
Investors.
So I think he's right. But there are some tools that will always remain relevant. So I think, forget about the business plan, but one of the biggest challenges as a business owner I notice, especially with younger people, is a lack of financial knowledge, accounting. So all businesses have a need to understand cash flow, profit and loss. So these are the basics that they teach in accounting, and I think every business owner should learn them and should make it a habit, again focusing on the topic of habits, of a habit to look at their numbers. Because one of the biggest problems we have in this current generation that we have is people, we're just running. We're just running, and Stephen Covey said a very nice thing. He said most people are so busy climbing the ladder of success that it's too late before they realize they're on the wrong wall. Yeah, you're so busy. Oh, I'm just growing, I'm growing, but you don't know what you're doing. You know, and in the same book, Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits, which you know I train on, he says the difference between a leader and a manager is a leader, he uses a compass, and a manager uses a clock. And he gave a fantastic, you know, I give this example to my people, and I'll close with this statement, that if you look at somebody who's going from Nairobi to Mombasa, and he's got a really fast car, it's going at 400 kilometers an hour. Just imagine. How long will it take to get to Mombasa?
Crazy.
How long will it take? If it's about 400 kilometers from Nairobi to Mombasa, and it goes at 400 kilometers an hour, how long will it take? 1 hour.
One
Yeah, one hour and a bit,
100%,
right?
Yes.
But what if I tell you he's going in the wrong direction? He's going towards Kisumu. How long will he get? How long will he take to get to Mombasa? Will he ever get there?
No. He'll have to turn back, take a different route all the way.
So this is really what the message I want to give to the audience is: make sure when you're planning, you see where you're going, and make sure you spend time in planning the direction. So for your business, like this gentleman just told you, forget about the business plan, but know where you want to achieve, what you want to achieve after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then focus on that. Yeah, but don't make a fancy business plan, put it on the wall that nobody understands. So I agree with that statement.
Khidher Adam, the man, the myth, the legend.
You're always good at this. You've been sales, huh?
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, brother Allah. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much for the wisdom that you just gave us tonight. I promise you I've learned a lot personally. Allah Jazakallah khair.
Thanks for having me.
We should have coffee more often.
Yeah, we should.
Jazakallah khair. Guys, I mean, that was Khidher Adam. Oh my God, he oozed wisdom. I promise you. From the beginning of the show up until now, when we've unfortunately have to end the show. Amazing. Thank you so much for keeping it live real talk. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for keeping us company. I hope you have learned just the way I have learned tonight. See you next week, same time. My name is Faisal Kassim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.